doing? Jonathan Daniels, the Herbal Junkie here. How y'all doing? So good to see you. Hey, what do you think about this guy right here? Seriously, what's your opinion? His name is John Boehner. Actually, it's pronounced Boehner. But if you were to type it into an auditory program, it'll be pronounced Boner, according to the computer. Now, this guy here just had the audacity to say, after going to Chamber of Commerce retreat, you know, when what's his name, Donahue, said that everybody should chip in to pay for the BP oil spill cleanup. Boehner said, yes, the American people should pay for it. I think that is hilarious, you know, thinking that we should pay for it. You know what? These Republicans are all about corporate welfare, okay? You know, meaning that, you know, you privatize the profits and you nationalize the debt, you know, or the damage or whatever. And I think it's just untenable that this corporate bankster should, you know, he's owned by the banks, just like most of our congressmen, you know. And this Tea Party movement that's been occurring, I like to jump from subject to subject, as you can tell, is, even though I agree with a lot of them, but it's kind of been an anti-incumbent thing that's kind of been going around the country, okay? But the problem is that Tea Party's infiltrated with stooges, okay? The Tea Party is infiltrated by stooges and people that side with banksters and the New World Order and Queen Beatrix and Queen Elizabeth. You know what I think about this oil spill cleanup? Give the CEO a shovel and tell his ass to start digging for me. Okay? No. Give Queen Beatrix and Queen Elizabeth both a shovel, you know, and a straw, and let them clean that shit up, okay? You know, since they both own BP, you know, the Queen Bilderberger queens, they should clean it up. And Boehner should just shut his mouth, okay? Because he's an idiot, okay? John Boehner is an idiot. Okay, that's all I got to say about that. But this BP spill disaster, you know, I hear what Alex Jones is saying, that it's a black op, whatever, or white op, or whatever the hell you want to call it. So, but this is an idiot op, you know, period. And this is an accidental spill, in my opinion. And, you know, and it's very interesting that Goldman Sachs had dumped $250 million in shares right before the oil spill, right before the oil spill. And I kind of find it interesting that the BP head CEO dumps all of his shares in BP like days before the oil spill. There was a fight that occurred, and you know, who knows what happened? You know, we don't know. We don't know who killed John F. Kennedy. We don't know who caused 9/11, to be honest with you. You know, and you know, we just take everything at face value. We like spoon-fed media. We like our media being fed to us. Oh, open your mouth. Open your... Oh, there you go. Good boy. Take your spoon-fed media, freaking idiot. You know, it's just ridiculous, man, how people are just, you know, these people are just sheep. And, you know, then idiots like this guy here can just tell you to clean up, to tell you to pay for shit that you've never done. And you say, oh, okay, he's a Republican, at least he's not a Democrat. You know, Democrats are socialists, blah, blah, blah. You know what? They're both socialists to me. You know, they're both corporate socialists. Reagan increased the debt, you know, by so much, you know. I mean, like, I think the debt was like, what? It was like $1 trillion or something like that. And he, like, quintupled that by the time he left office under the advice of Alan Greenspan, saying, well, you know, you could dip into the Medicare or Social Security funds because there actually is government money, and you could use that for national defense, you know, and blah, blah, blah. And for tax cuts for the rich, you know. He said, oh, okay. So Reagan ended up, like, increasing taxes for the middle class and working class people. and making a tax cuts for the rich. Okay, H.W. Bush did the same thing. And, sure, Clinton helped balance the budget, though, but, he was the worst. He sold us out to NAFTA and GATT and everything else. And then comes right behind him comes this idiot of a president named George W. Bush. He increased the debt by tenfold. He's an idiot. He's going to 2 illegal wars and everything. And, these are socialists, basically. These are corporate socialists, They want you to pay for everything. They want you to pay for the war, and that's our socialist economy. And, this is socialism, okay? It's socialism. I don't care how you spin it. It's not real socialism in my opinion. I'm a libertarian socialist, but it's like the corporate socialist that's more like fueling the death economy, which is basically about denying people coverage, but the taxpayers pay for the emergency rooms visits. It's about like paying for the wars overseas, the armor, the munitions, the artillery, the military-industrial complex. All that is funded by taxpayer money. That is socialism, okay? And not only that, it's us bailing out Wall Street. That's socialism. It's bailing out these banksters. That Obama says, okay, guys, come on, let's get it done. Even though Ron Paul and the dissenters were against it, he was like, okay, come on, don't let our country down. You're going to bail out Goldman Sachs, these punk-ass people, That's socialism, okay? And if that's socialism, I don't want anything to do with it, And this guy right here, he's a socialist. John McCain is a socialist, okay? All these Republicans are socialists, and George W. Bush is a socialist. H.W. Bush, Ronald Reagan, all socialists. Okay, so there's no difference between 2 sides of the same coin, and one's a good cop, one's a bad cop, but they're both cops. Okay, and the thing is that they inflict terror upon people home and abroad around the world. And these socialists need to pay. And when we kick these people out of office and we replace them with the incumbents, we end up getting the okey-doke, and they find out that you get another stooge in its place after voting for the stooge. You didn't know he was a stooge, but he is a stooge. Look, what was that guy in Massachusetts, that Tea Party candidate? He got in. He ended up being a chump. Who was that Democratic incumbent, Sestak from Pennsylvania, who replaced Arlen Specter? I don't have any, I just didn't like Arlen Specter, though, but for him, I think he was trying to make a change for the better, though, but that Houdini politics does not work anymore, and if you're not real with the people, they're going to vote you out, and so they got rid of him, and, he lost the incumbent, and they got the Sestak, and now he's nowhere to be found. He's nowhere to be found, okay? He's a chump. Okay, Rand Paul, okay. A lot of people talk about the Ron Paul revolution. Now, that's cool, but Rand Paul is not no Ron Paul. Rand Paul is an idiot, okay? And he's for the military-industrial complex. And he's made some statements about PP, like saying, well, they said they cleaned it up, so, we should not pressure him. We need to give more money to the military. We should never take war off the table, or nuclear war against Iran or whatever. So he's a neocon, okay? And all neocons to me are socialists. And these guys are all chumps. And guess what? All these punk-ass Democrats, they're socialists too. So, you know what? We need a real revolution. We need to vote these bums out. You got to know who you're voting for. And, just look into the history and have them be open, have an open book on who they are and what they do and everything. And they cannot be allowed to be usurped. They allow their stances and their morals and sense of integrity to become usurped by financial gain through promises through Goldman Sachs or through the insurance lobby and the housing, the banking lobby, whatever. And Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, Bill Clinton, you suck. Hillary Clinton, you suck, too. You know, like, they tried to get rid of this corporate Democrat named Elaine Marshall, and you supported her. You should stay out of politics. Just stay away from the Democrats, will you? Just, won't you go away, you know, go off and drink somewhere, do something. Just disappear, Bill. Just stay away from politics. And Obama, shame on you. Shame on you for supporting Elaine Marshall and Rahm Emanuel.